Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Thank you so much for joining me today. And for those of you that are new here, my name is Amy Gretchen and I'm super happy that you are joining today. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing my 2020 December Daily album, or what is finished of my 2020 December Daily album. So my daughter got married last December and I knew that going into December that I wasn't even going to try to finish this album because I knew that there would be some wedding prep, and then also I needed to travel to the wedding. So I just knew that it was not something that I was going to ever be able to complete. So I went into this project knowing that and gave myself a lot of breaks along the way for what I was not going to be able to do. But I did my best to gather information and all the stuff I could along the way, and writing some stories down in my journal and making sure I was taking photos along the way so that when I hopped back in, I knew that I'd be able to finish pretty quickly. So what I want to do today is share how my album is. In fact, I took it off the shelf and I did open it and I saw that there was some addresses that were showing, and so I covered those up. But for the most part, I did not touch anything in this album. So some of it for me is going to be like walking into the past, right? Because I literally came home from Christmas and started boxing up my studio. So I've not looked at this since I moved back to Utah. So I'm actually super excited to jump back in. And I want to just thank Jess Forster for her always starting the hashtag done before December or done before whatever the project is, because it's really giving me the motivation and the accountability that I need to get this project done before December 2021 comes around. So anyways, let's dive into this album and we'll see how far I got. So for this year, I went with the 6x8 album. This was the black with the copper Mary. I thought this was a beautiful album, and it was fun to be able to jump back into the 6x8 after doing the 4x6 the year before. And just as we jump into this album, you guys, I wanted to apologize to you. I just realized, because right before I did, started this video, I went to my YouTube channel to see what days of this year did I have processed videos for, and I realized I had 0 videos in the month of December that had anything to do with my December Daily album, and I just wanted to apologize to you guys for being so MIA last December, and thank you guys for sticking around. It was a pretty difficult time period on top of a really beautiful experience of my daughter's wedding, on top of Christmas, and I guess I just gave myself that break. I do remember filming all of these days, and so I'm crossing my fingers that I'll be able to find that footage so that I can edit those and be able to share that with you guys, because I'd love to be able to share the process of some of these days with you. They are pretty simple, but I always think it's fun to see people's process. So anyway, let's jump in, but I did just want to say thank you for sticking with me. Super sorry about how it all went down last year, but I guess it was just something that I needed to do for myself. All right, so just as I open up this album, I'm seeing that I have stuff that I kind of probably was on my desk that I was just stuffing into my album, not knowing. Like, I'm looking at these 2 things. This one is a quote, this one is a random transparency. I don't know if I wanted to use these for something. I'm not sure if it was just on my desk and I shoved them in, so we'll see. I do remember this hope wanting to tell a story about hope. I don't know, but I'm hoping that I actually wrote the journaling for this. A lot of the stories that I do want to tell that I have yet to tell, I did journal about, so I don't think it'll be difficult to jump in and tell these stories. But I do remember wanting to tell one about hope, and I'm not sure if I wanted to do it for day 13 or if this was just one of those things that were sitting on my desk, and so I've got it there. All right, so this, I know for sure, I remember wanting to tell a story about the Christmas cards that we did receive. So this one came from Jenny, that's on Ali Edwards' team from Amsterdam. So I mean, look at those stamps. They are the cutest, are they not? So I knew that I wanted to tell a story because I wasn't sure. Honestly, I love getting Christmas cards every year. And what I ended up doing for this, just not knowing, is I took all of the envelopes and I cut them up and I saved the stamps and I just put them in here, knowing that I would possibly want to do something with them because I love getting Christmas cards every year, and I just wasn't sure how many cards we were going to end up getting because we moved. And oftentimes when you move, you know, people don't remember or they don't have your new address, and so you end up not getting any of the Christmas cards. So I was super happy for the Christmas cards that I did get. It definitely added to the joy of the season for me. So I figured I would probably use this envelope as a base and tell some kind of story, or maybe I would put this on a page. Like, I'm just not sure how I want to do it, but I know I want to tell a story with this, and maybe that's what the 13 was for. Maybe this was going to be day 13. I'm not 100% sure. All right, so starting off, this is my title page. This was something that I created in one of the lessons for Ali Edwards' December Daily Product Play class. So let me show this to you up close. It is embroidered onto paper. Actually, it's embroidered onto this transparency. The theme that I had for the product play class was transparency. So that was one of the reasons why I came up with this project, but it was so fun. Definitely a labor of love. But if you're interested in doing something like this, you can find the lesson on Ali's website under her classes, under product play. Now there is a ton of ideas in those classes, but this just happens to be one of the lessons that I created, so you can check that out there. All right, so you can see that this still needs to be adhered to here, and that is definitely something that I can, easily do. I always like to start my albums with a calendar. I think this was one that I created myself, and this writing on here, and what my intent was for this was to celebrate the moments of joy during this month, magic and joy, because I think this quote is about magic and joy. It says, "Now is the best time for choosing to find magic and joy," or magic plus joy. This was a file from Ali Edwards that I cut with my Silhouette using the vinyl and just stuck it onto transparency. And then on the flip side here, every day I'm writing down something that is bringing me joy. So I know that it is empty, but like I said, I do have a journal that I've got all this information so I could just easily fill it in. That is the one thing, and one piece of advice I would give to you is definitely document along the way. So if you don't have time to actually put your page together, you still have your stories, and you can go back and easily tell those stories no matter when it is that you're doing that. And like I said earlier, I knew that this was not an album that I was going to be able to finish, so I definitely wanted to keep up on documenting in my journal. All right, so I don't believe day one has anything to do with this. I think this is separate, just something that I wanted to put on the back side of the title page. But this is day one, and as you can see, it does not have a photo associated with it, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm fine to do a photo without a story, and I'm fine to do a story without a photo, although I really love to include stories, so I rarely do the photo without a story. But this one, I don't know that this was my reason why, but it definitely, as I reread through it, it definitely has this feeling of, what my intent is for this holiday season. Like I said, it was a difficult December for me, and I'm writing about that and talking about how I really want to be able to find as much joy as I possibly can while I'm starting starting December with a heavy heart. So just a tough fall for me, and it kind of bled into December. So that's what I was writing about that. In day two, it's all about finding our Christmas tree. It was so fun this year to do something a little bit different, and their tree farms there are just stunning. This was in the Pacific Northwest, so I was super excited to have the opportunity to do that with Adam and Megan. And so I'm just telling a little bit about that story here. Got some stars on a transparency, and then just did a little bit of a flip up there. And then this is day three, and I'm not sure why I have this here. I think it's probably because of this flip up in the tape. But let me see if I can stick it in. Oh, I see. This will just fit in. I thought the tape was closing it, so I'm not sure why that wasn't in there. So anyway, this was all about the Christmas tree and how much I love Christmas trees during the season. I wish we could keep them all year round. So I just love the light that it adds into the house. And then of course I got the number 3 just on a card. I think this was an old Paisley Press card there. On the back side, I have the story for day 4. This was all about the Advent calendar that I created. This was an idea I got from Barbara Picnic, that's on Allie Edwards' design team. She did something similar for her daughter, and since Megan was the only one at home, I thought it'd be fun to do like little gifts every day. And so that's just about how we ended up doing the Advent a little bit different than we have done it in years past. And then on day 5, you can see is on the back side of that, I just have a photo of the Pacific Northwest, and I'm just telling a little bit about this hike that we took with our friends, which was super stunning. And, you know, just how amazing it is to be here, be in the Pacific Northwest during this time of year. Really grateful for the opportunity to do that. On the day 6, I told a story about, so every year my church does a devotional, a Christmas devotional that's all about Jesus Christ. And I am a Christian and I do celebrate Christmas. And my intent is that the holidays are focused on the Savior. And so I wrote a little bit about that devotional, what I learned, things that I'm trying to take from it and help me as I'm moving through my December. Then on day 7, I got photos from my daughter's photo shoot from her it wasn't the engagement photo shoot, and I don't know if this is something they do all over or if this is just something they do in Utah, but they do a dress reveal. And so they always end up doing, with the bridals, they always end up having the groom there, and then they end up doing photos beforehand. That's definitely a tradition that has happened as of late. This is not something that I did when I ended up getting married. But anyway, so I got the photos that day, so I ended up telling the story about that. So I've got one large photo here, and then I've got the story on the back side with just another photo there. So super fun to be able to have those stories, although I will be able to have more of her wedding in this album. So for day 8, you can see that I actually did not finish this, and I'm not sure why, because it looks like it's done. I've got a list here of all the things that are on my to-do list. It's not just December, it's definitely all the things that are on my to-do list. And I've got a paper clip that's in the form of an 8, which I thought was really cute. I'm using these craft tags, and I just made a little bit of a pocket here. And it looks like my intent was to have a pocket on the back side. And that's probably why I'm waiting to put on this star here, just so I can finish these up and then I'll put the ribbon through. But we ended up going to Portland randomly. It was like on a Wednesday, and I think Adam was like, let's go to Portland. We had talked to someone in town and they said the best burger they thought was in Portland. So we went to Portland to kind of try that out. I can't remember the restaurant that it was in. It was definitely not my favorite, but it was really good, and it was fun to see Portland. And so I told the story about that there. And so I just need to finish this up. Again, you can see that not everything ended up getting finished. So that was day 9, the story of Portland. And then on day 10, this was one of those not so fun stories. My husband got into an accident, which we are really grateful it was not more serious. He ended up breaking some ribs. And so this was just a little story about that. This actually was a larger, I think it was a larger photo that I ended up scanning and printing smaller to fit that 3x4 size. Then on day 11, I decided to take a photo of my studio and do like a currently or what was going on at that time. You can see that I obviously have not finished. This was the last day that I did, and I didn't even get it into the album. But what I ended up doing is I've got these speech bubbles that are kind of pointing to things in my office. I also have some stamps here from Everyday Explorers. So this one was talking about how Lola is always hanging out with me and keeping me company. This stool was here. This is one that Megan would always come in my studio and sit on here and chat while I was working. I've got one that talks about my glasses, that I need glasses when I'm reading now. It's very helpful. I'm also talking about how I switched from using a PC to a Mac, which was one of the reasons why I'm really hoping that I'll be able to find my footage, because I'm not exactly sure where I put all those videos. And then the other one was, it says right here, taking a break from this, and I'm pointing to my microphone. So obviously I was taking a break from YouTube. Not sure if I announced that on social media or not. Like I said, super sorry about that, but that is where I'm done with all of my days. And I'm not exactly sure if I had any other days written out and just not completed, but I know this is where I stopped. And then it looks like I've got a Nordstrom card holder in here, and I don't know if this is something I ended up getting for Christmas or if I bought one of these and left it. Like, I can't remember, but I'm thinking that I maybe liked the idea of the construction of this, and so maybe I wanted to create something similar. I really thought this was cute right here, so I don't know, but I've got this, so maybe it's something that I will use. I could stick in the album like this and tell a story like that, or I can create my own. So I love looking out for stuff like this because it's fun to be able to add these little pieces like envelopes into our album. Then it looks like I've got some gold vinyl, some tags that I used, and then I've got some tissue paper. I probably was thinking that I would maybe use this somehow. I cannot remember. This was also something else I created with the foil quill. I thought I had a video on my YouTube channel of this. I'm gonna have to go check and see, or if this was just another one of those videos that I filmed but did not edit. And then I've got my other projects that I did for December Daily Prep Party. This one was a lot of fun. I used alcohol inks with that and the stamps. And then this one also I created. This has got little pockets in there, and this is definitely going to be one of the days. It obviously won't be day 10. I think that was my intent, but then I ended up doing something else for day 10 because my husband ended up injuring himself on day 10. So, you know, sometimes we have the intent of doing something and then we just kind of push it back in line because we have some other ideas, but this is definitely something that I want to do. And it's very easy because then I could just add the journaling behind here and then switch out the numbers. I do have journaling in here, and that's because I did that when I was creating for the class. I wanted to have a little bit of journaling, so I just need to switch it out for whatever day I end up doing in the journaling that I want to do for that day. So you guys, that's it for my 2020 album. This is definitely more than what I thought that I had. I was grateful that I had 11 days done, so I'm just about halfway there. Like I said, there's a couple things that I need to finish, but overall I'm super happy with what I have so far and how this is looking. I think I might want to actually staple this on here so it stays in place. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I've done here, feel free to ask me, since I don't have any process videos to be able to share. Hopefully I will be able to find that footage, like I said, and share that with you guys in the next month or so. So thank you for joining me for this walk down memory lane. And you guys, if you are going to be doing the Done by December, I would love to hear it in the comments section below. Let's help each other stay accountable and get our albums completed. All right, you guys, we will see you in the next one.